Shalom, shalom. I would first like to begin a lesson on Bhagavan, all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rachacha Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops at Great Millstone who taught me this truth through the spirit and the power of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Peace and salutations to the brothers out there pushing this truth, the 100% truth out there on the highways and the byways, the Akim, as well as you few sisters out there listening and learning. Da'akwah to you also I say shalom. It is your brother, Ratasaga Bar, with another lesson through the spirit. Just wanted to come at y'all with some, with an update that's going on currently in the news as of today. Just play a few clips for you all and pull out some precepts through the scriptures. Pull out some precepts through the spirit, excuse me. And Lord willing, lesson be edifying to those out there listening and watching. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and do the copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Right? And fair use is in full effect. So that being said, I was watching a video earlier from Redacted that I wanted to play for y'all because it had some good information in it. It was a clip.
For the first time in U.S. history, the United States Postal Service is now adding a fuel charge to every pack.
Like around this part of the list.
Of movement, food, and fuel. So can you play that out, please?
Yeah, that's where this is headed. Clearly, in my view, it's the same pattern as COVID, but now with a different justification. So already many countries are suffering so-called energy lockdowns. You mentioned some of them in the intro, but also, for example, in South Korea, you're only allowed to drive on certain days of the week if you're a government employee based on your vehicle license plate. In Australia, hundreds of petrol stations have run out now, and it's not clear when they're going to be replenished. What's going to come is government-controlled delivery of food and fuel. And this will encompass Americans, especially as prices get much higher and more job displacement takes place because of the AI displacement. And you just saw a humanoid robot walking around the White House. That's also part of the plan. That's why I have the AI background here today behind me. But as you have all this displacement, the public will scream for universal basic income, but the UBI will be tied, in my view, and Catherine Austin Fitts talks about this, and she's excellent on this subject. It'll be tied to a government-controlled CBDC that allows you to purchase a certain amount of food, but builds in the scarcity or the quota allowances through that digital control grid. And the same thing will happen with fuel, and also the same thing will happen probably with the number of kilowatt hours of energy that you're allowed to consume as a household. And interestingly, one of the off-ramps to that is to have your own off-grid solar power system and an EV, which is funny because Trump is becoming the world's greatest EV salesman now,
right,
as more people are buying EVs. Go figure.
Well, you bring up a great...
Right. These are the things that we've been talking about for days, weeks, months, and years, man. This is the direction that humanity and society is going towards, right? This is what they're going towards, the technocracy, the technological advancements that's going on, right? So this isn't any surprise to us. This is simply prophecy being fulfilled. Daniel 12, I don't like how this split right now. Daniel 12:4 says, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, and seal the book even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased," right? And in addition to that, we can get Job 20 and 23. When he is about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through, right? We can even go back to this, because this is all a plan. And this is their last plan, their last way to try and save themselves, because they know that their kingdom is dying. And this is, I haven't brought this scripture out in a while. Psalm 49:10, for he seeth that wise men die. Likewise, the fool and the brutish person perish and leave their wealth to others. Like we always say, man, none of the things that these people hype up to be all of that, all of the vanity that's in the world, it doesn't matter, because you never know who you're leaving it to when you perish anyways, right? It says, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Nevertheless, man being in honor abideth not. He is like the beasts that perish, right? Dust to dust, ashes to ashes. These people are so proudful. They're filled. The Lord have filled them up with so much pride that they believe and think in their minds that their kingdom is going to last forever, right? That they'll never be dethroned. But guess what? They're being dethroned by someone, something that they cannot beat, something that they can't remove their necks from. They're likening it unto America and Donald Trump putting their fingers in a Chinese finger trap. They put themselves and involve themselves in a war with Iran, and now they're trapped in it and they can't remove themselves, man. This is prophecy coming to pass, and it's beautiful. This their way is their folly, yet their posterity approve their sayings. Salah. Going on to the next clip, man. Talking about how prideful these people are, man. How prideful DJ is. This is recent. This just.
But we begin back in Iran, where the United States and Israel continues to strike hundreds of targets every single day. Joining us now with more, Jonathan Hunt is live from Israel with the latest. Good evening, Jonathan.
Good evening to you, Lawrence. And there is concerning news first tonight out of Saudi Arabia, where an Iranian attack on the Prince Sultan base there has apparently damaged at least several U.S. refueling tankers and also injured around a dozen U.S. servicemen. We're awaiting more details from that, but that reporting from the Wall Street Journal. All that coming, of course, as President Trump continues to say that the U.S. is winning in this conflict and winning easily. Here's the president.
Again, they have no...
I just want to say this, man. I was talking to a guy yesterday. This is how delusional the average American is. Do you know what this nigga said to me? And we weren't even talking about the war. I don't remember what the topic was, but he mentioned this. He said, yeah, ain't nobody gonna bomb. This is a Jake talking, by the way. Ain't nobody gonna bomb America. Nah, they ain't that stupid. If you see my face right now, it would show my reaction to what he said. I didn't even make it known, right? I'm just laughing in my head at Jake. Man, our people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
As President Trump continues to say that the U.S. is winning in this conflict and winning easily. Here's the president.
Again, they have no anti-aircraft, so we're just floating over the top looking for whatever we want, and we're hitting it, and we have another 3,554 targets left, and that'll be done pretty quickly.
Emphasizing that point, the U.S. continues to hit military and regime targets in Tehran and throughout Iran. What the U.S. military has not been able to do so far, or perhaps has not been willing to do so far, is reopen the Strait of Hormuz, that commercially critical strait that remains all but closed to commercial shipping at the moment. That is causing economic problems, of course, with the markets down and the price of oil up. And the Iranian parliamentary speaker effectively trolled President Trump today on X, saying, quote, "They've spammed so much fake news trying to push energy prices down that the market's just numb now. Keep going. Nobody's buying it anymore." So Iranian officials, at least publicly, still talking tough, even as President Trump says privately they are negotiating. And of course, we tick towards President Trump's Monday, April 6th deadline for real progress to be made. Lawrence?
Yeah, I'm sure him, like many of their leaders, are making those statements from bunkers right now. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Be sure to like.
That's all I had on YouTube. Just notice, Israel, the way that this nigga keeps on talking, something very big is gonna happen. And the Lord is gonna end up humbling these Edomites as a whole. This is 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter, the 1st verse. It says, "The day of the Lord. But at the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night," meaning when you least expect it. "For when they shall say peace and safety," which is what Donald Trump is doing right now. They actually think that they're winning this war, and they're not. "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day shall overtake you as a thief." Right? We're not in the dark like everyone else. The Lord has blessed us to know that these things are going to come to pass. Right?
Breaking loose as Russia has entered Donald Trump's war against Iran in a big way. Russia ain't hiding the fact that it has been sending drones to Iran along with satellite imagery, targeting data, and intelligence support that has been crippling to the United States. And Vladimir Putin and Lavrov and Yushakov and Dmitriev, the crew that keeps on meeting with Witkoff and Kushner, who keep getting more concessions out of the United States, they're out there bragging and boasting that the United States military bases throughout the Middle East have been obliterated. You want to use the word obliterated, Donald? New York Times is reporting how Iran just wrecked all of America's Gulf bases. Kuwait gutted with collapsed roofs and smashed radar. 17 U.S. sites have been hit in the Middle East region. $800 million or more in damage in weeks. Our troops have basically abandoned all of the American military bases in the Middle East. May I repeat that? Our troops have abandoned basically all of the military bases in the Middle East, and now they are working remotely from hotels while Iran is utilizing a spy network to try to find which hotels U.S. troops are at to target those hotels. As Anthony Scaramucci writes, a forever basing empire is a $1 trillion liability. Time for a lean Navy over-the-horizon posture before the next war bleeds us dry. The next war, Anthony, how about this right here? I mean, I'll throw up this B-roll right here. You want to see how they are developing or have already developed the military of the future in China right here with these drone swarms. You see, unlike the United States that has continued to build these outdated THAAD and Patriot systems, which we forced on and pushed on the Middle East allies and others, these drone swarms and the drone interceptors, because that's how wars are fought now in 2026, have been perfected by China. And China has been boasting and bragging throughout this entire week by showing these videos about just how successful their preparedness is for the battle of the future. Just take a look at this New York Times article, though, about how successful Russia has been at transferring this data to Iran to target these American bases, while Donald Trump continues to be a Putin bootlicker publicly. Now, the New York Times doesn't say, oh, well, Russia gave these coordinates. Just put together the Financial Times story about Russia just announcing that it's doing this, and the New York Times story, and it's obvious what is taking place right here. Just take a look right here at what the New York Times article says. Many of the 13 military bases in the region used by American troops are all but uninhabitable. Iran has bombed U.S. bases across the Middle East in retaliation for the U.S.-Israeli war, forcing many American troops to relocate to hotels and office spaces throughout the region, according to military personnel and American officials. By the way, this is leaking out because
So that's the first video, and the brother
all
said that.
hell is.
This is the second one, the most recent one.
Some breaking news. Israel just bombed Russia and they've blown up a Russian supply line to Iran. And this supply line carries Russian oil, Russian weapons, etc. And Israel just blew them up. And Russia is preparing to go to war over this. Well, today, Israel has carried out their first attack onto the Caspian Sea. And according to reports, Israel, quote, targeted a supply corridor used by Russia to transport drones, ammunition, and other military equipment to Iran. Now, it is worth knowing that Russia is one of the biggest military equipment suppliers to Iran, and vice versa. Iran supplies Russia with their famous Shahed drones, and in return, Russia gives Iran helicopters and missiles and things like that. Well, Russia and Iran both border the Caspian Sea, and rather than sending this equipment by land, they send it through the sea, through a 600-mile long corridor. Russia also has pipelines as part of this supply corridor, and so Israel might have bombed them too. Currently, we don't actually know whether Israel bombed ships which were transporting equipment, or whether they bombed these pipelines. The reports are quite vague. All we know is that Israel bombed one of them, or maybe both of them. However, because of how big a deal this is, because Israel has bombed Russian equipment, it suggests that the war might go on for longer. Specifically, in just the last day, Polymarket has predicted that the chance the war with Iran will end by the end of this month has dropped from 18% yesterday to 13% today. And that's because Russia has now been attacked in this war, making it far more likely that Russia will supply more and more equipment and intelligence to Iran to help them fight against Israel, meaning the war will go on for longer. Now, Russia has not officially issued a statement on this yet, even though their own equipment and transport corridor has been blown up. And so it's likely they will, and they'll probably officially just call for peace, as they normally do. But behind the scenes, they're going to be quite mad. A lot happens behind the scenes that we don't hear about, and so leave me a follow, because once we find out more, I'm going to keep you up to date on all of the global news, especially if Russia continues to help Iran. Some breaking news.
So yeah, that's the update. And we know what role Russia plays in this prophecy. They play a very big role. Prophecy about Gog and future invasion of Israel. Which Gog is Russia. The scriptures speak and do not lie, Israel. Ezekiel 38:1, it says, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith Yahweh the Most High Power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back, and put hooks into thy jaws, And I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, which is Iran, Ethiopia and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarma of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Right? Just some of the companies, or I said companies, some of the countries, you know what I'm saying, that are going to join in battle with Russia to come against Babylon the Great. After many days thou shalt be visited, in the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mounts of Israel, the government, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. Let's get this in NLT. Verse 8. A long time from now, you will be called into action. In the distant future, you will swoop down on the land of Israel, which will be enjoying peace after recovering from war, and after its people have returned from many lands to the mountains of Israel. You and all your allies, a vast and awesome army, will roll down on them like a storm and cover the land like a cloud. Verse 10 in the KJV. Thus saith Yahweh the Most High Power, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates. That's talking about America. There's no type of protection in this land at all. To take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thy hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited. Right? Because at one point in time, America was desolate until, of course, the northern kingdom inhabited it. And then it was taken over by the Edomites. And upon the people that are gathered out of the nations which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land, Sheba and Dedan, and the merchants of Tarshish, with all the young lions thereof, shall say unto thee, Art thou come to take a spoil? Hast thou gathered thy company to take a prey, to carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, to take a great spoil? And if you continue reading on, fulfilling prophecy. Nonetheless, though, verse 11. You will say, Israel is an unprotected land filled with unwalled villages. I will march against her and destroy these people who live in such confidence. Right? Them people over there in that land. In addition to that, though, America is, you could liken America unto an unwalled village, because there's no type of protection in this land. And best believe, Russia is going to strike this place. In NLT verse 12, I will go to those formerly desolate cities that are now filled with people who have returned from exile in many nations. I will capture vast amounts of plunder, for the people are rich with livestock and other possessions now. They think the whole world revolves around them, right? The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. They're in rulership right now. But Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish will ask, do you really think the armies you gathered can rob them of silver and gold? Do you think you can drive away their livestock and seize their goods and carry off plunder? Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto God, thus saith Yahweh the Most High Power, in that day when my people of Israel dwelleth safely, shalt thou not know it? Just know, man, that this is all for the Israelites, the true Israelites. The Lord is doing this and bringing these said perils and troubles upon earth. I want to end it off with this. Ecclesiastes 10:7. Pride is hateful before God and many. Pride is hateful before God and man, and by both doeth one commit iniquity. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Lord willing, the lesson was edifying to those out there listening and watching. I'm going to close it off there. Call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, or Chacha Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elder bishops at Great Millstone, once again, who told me this truth through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And until next time, I say Shalom, Israel. Shalom. And as always, we're one day close to the kingdom, man. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Shalom, Israel. Shalom.